Hi, this is Michael on YouTube, Guitar Tutorials on YouTube. This is an overview of my Out of Control Axe FX2 preset and effect settings. Here we go. Compression for the solo, drive, two different drives in there, one for the main, the rest for the song and the one for the solo. Forget why I have two drive blocks. We'll go through it in a minute. I'll figure this out in a second. Ignore the FX block, I'm not using it. FX, that's the FX loop. Amp, cab, delay. That's it. Tempo, 141. Let's start with the drive. The main drive is a T808 mod. 4.25 on the drive. 5.5 on the tone. Level at 5. Mix at 100. Balance. Low cut up at 600 hertz. Real key with the T808. It's got a low bottom end, so I have to cut it off to get. I liked the drive tone of this pedal for this song, but I didn't like the spectral frequency response, so I just cut off the lows, at least with my guitar and pups, and it worked great. So if you bring that back, you'll have a lot of lows, so make that sure that's up. High cut, 4500. Like it a little sharper. Clip type, silicon diode, slew 5, bias 0, node bit reduction. Here's the third page. Took a little off on the bass here also by a half a dB. Took off a little mids for some reason, half a dB. And added a little treble, 0.3 dB. Don't remember why I did it, but when I was building the preset, that seemed to do it for me. It's just tweaking. So that is the main drive. Now let me see what else I've got in here. Okay, this is going to be, what I ended up doing is, okay, now I was doing some comparison stuff here. At the end of the day, I just used two drives. So I used this T808 and I used the Fat Rat. So this, well, I changed to the Y drive within this block. Each block, a lot of the blocks, not all of them, have an X and Y parameter set. So you don't have to build another block or another preset. And I just switched to, instead of MIDI control, to change to the Y. And this is for the solo. Big high gain drive. Notice the drive's way up at 8.6. Tone is at 4.9, the level at 5.45. So I've got the level up here a little bit too. Notice the level for the other drive is at 5, so I'm also boosting with this drive at the same time. And this is what's great about the Axe. You can actually, boost when you switch drives for solo. If that drive doesn't give you enough volume, just put up the level. That's just a pure volume, the level. It's not going to affect your tone. And you can use it as a boost at the same time. Mix, balance. Okay, 515, got the low cut way up. Seems to work for me. 3000 on the high. I used the germanium diode on this one. 3 on the slew, 0 on the bias bit reduction. Then, on the third page for the solo, no adjustment to the bass. 0.5 on the mid, boost the mid a little bit. Didn't change this. Treble, it looks like I took down the treble by half a dB, just tweaking. So that is your main song drive and your big solo drive, essentially. Ignore this drive block. I think I was just using it for comparing things when I was building the preset. Let's go to compression. This is the compression that I used for the solo only. I used a pedal. I had auto on, look ahead at 1 millisecond, the mix at 100%. I used some settings that I just did some research on the web and tried to model a basic compression pedal for a guitar. Sustain here is at 4. The attack is at 10 milliseconds, pretty quick. The release is at 50 milliseconds. Let it go a little bit, takes a little longer to release. The level at 1. So that was my compressor. Seemed to work okay. I'm not an expert at compression. If anyone has any suggestions, feel free to leave a note on this video, comment. If I'm doing anything wrong. I'm still learning about compression, so I'm not going to claim these are the perfect settings, but I did a little work on it. So that's for the solo only with the rat drive, fat rat drive. Now let's go to the amp model. It's going to be somewhat similar to what I did for I Will Follow, but a little bit different. Here's page 1, 30 watt TB, top boost. Drives at 4, bass at 4 1/3, the mids at 7, the treble is at 533. Remember, the bright is not on. There's the bright on, bright off. So I have turned the bright channel because I think this model is too bright, so I turn it off and then I put the treble up a little bit. Presence 1, depth 2.65, master 9. I like driving this model high on the master, and then if you need to, bring the level down. On this one, I had to bring the level down. The reason I had to bring the level down on this one is because the drive is up at 4. Surprised I had to do it by -8, but for some reason I did. Amp voicing, I like the rock amp voicing, just like on I Will Follow. Speaker, I don't change this yet. I haven't learned how to use this page. I've pretty much stuck with the default settings. So I'm just going to scroll through these quickly. You can always stop the video if you're trying to get these, but I did not, as far as I remember, I did not change any of these settings. EQ, I did change these, took off some of the highs here, rolled them off, boost the mids. So the bass down, -2.5, -1.5, 0 at 250, 1.5 at 500, 2 at 1.1K hertz, 2K hertz is 1.5, -1.5, and -4. I like the way fractal way Cliff built in an EQ into the amp model. It's pretty cool. You can really do a lot with your tone. Supply sag 5, dynamics 50, transformer match 1, speaker drive 2.5, level -8. That's the same. Here are the main settings. It looks like I got some different settings than I did in I Will Follow. I don't remember why. I'm probably confusing a couple different my main amp models, but they're close. This is important. Low cut frequency up should be 570, 600, somewhere in there. 75 picofarads on the bright cap. That has a lot to do with the tone. The tone frequency has a lot to do with the tone. 380, play around with that a lot. I like it in that range. Grid modeling I have on for whatever reason. That's something new that Cliff has added recently. This is very important. The power tube bias. I like it real high. I find the tone is much better for you too that way. Here are the other settings. I haven't changed too many of them. These, where are they? These transformer high frequency and low frequency numbers can change tone quite a bit. So there's the advanced page. Here's the mix page. Nothing new. This is repeated. So that's the amp model. Cab model, same as I Will Follow, should be anyway. Blue and the Brit, 2x12. I like to mix those up. Cab, I'm using the same R121 condenser mic. 2.5 link. Here's the mode, stereo, room level 20, room size 3, mic spacing 15%. Low cut, I didn't change the cuts. And the levels, pans at 50%. The mix, motor drive 0.25, I don't think I changed this much. No air, I probably should play around with these. So there's the cab, and the final thing is the delay. So for iota control, this is tempo 141. I use a quarter note delay. I think that's what Edge uses. 2290 again, mono. Mix 32%. Might be a little high for this song. This song doesn't have a lot of delay, so I could be a little high there. Boosted the. There's the 426 milliseconds, which is a quarter note right there. I got fewer repeats, 18.5%. I had 30% on I Will Follow, so that's fewer repeats, but they are longer. Mod, triangle, 4.7. hertz, again between 4.5 and 5 hertz. If you watched my I Will Follow video settings, very similar. I set it to an eighth note, even though the delay is a quarter note, but I'm trying to aim for something between 4.5 and 5 hertz. That generally is what Edge seems to be using in his modulation on most songs, not all. Depth I have pretty high on this one. I like a lot of mod, 42.5%. The rest here is really not used. Not using the LFO, the second LFO. The ducker is pretty much off. There we go. Then we got the EQ, 200 to 8,000. This is the EQ on the delays. I haven't played around with this too much of this, with the Q settings, etc. And here's the mix page. 32% on the mix. That was also on the first page. 2 on the level. That was on the first page. These are repeated for convenience. And that is the delay. And then the reverb is standard. I use a large plate on this one. I use the medium or the large plate. I don't change the default settings. I do change the mix. This is up at 17.5%. Just going to scroll through these quickly because I don't play around with these. EQ. Mix. 17.5. And that is it. That is out of control settings that I did for my recent cover, and I'm in the middle of doing the tutorial. So I hope that's helpful. If you don't have an AXFX, you can still watch this video and attempt to use these as general parameters for setting up a Line 6 device or any other effects pedal or digital effects unit. Hope that's helpful. Thanks for watching.